struggle of being behind 10,000 gold or something, which kind of sucks. But
So how do you kind of get your team out of that sort of mindset of like, oh shit, we're down 10,000 gold. There's no way we can come back from that. What do you tell them to concentrate on?
all right, well, there's two things you can do in that scenario where you're down 10,000 gold. If it's like a best of three or a best of five, you can tell them to just stall the game and start thinking about the next game, like what you want to start doing with it, whether like it's picks and bans or if you want to start changing strategy. The other thing you can do is just keep telling them, hey, um, if your team comp outscales, you can remind them that. Just keep farming, keep looking for mistakes, ward up defensively, and
Mm-hmm.
tell them that it's just a game. It's fine. Sometimes you do bad, sometimes you do well. And if it's a best of one, you're down 10,000 gold, you probably gonna lose, but you still try your hardest regardless.
Hmm.
We're used to losing, so it's not like it's a big deal.
Yeah, no, everyone's got to deal with it.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as for you were saying about solo queue and how would you take your skills of say shot calling, say you're a strong shot caller and you go into solo queue? Are you able to use those skills as much in solo queue, or would you say, or not? And if so, how?
Not really, because when I play solo queue, I don't actually talk. I think it's like the most like different discrepancies between like solo queue and like competitive play for me. Since in competitive play or like scrims, I'm consistently talking all the time. I pretty much don't shut up. But in solo queue, I play for hours without saying like a single word. Since when I'm playing solo queue, I don't really feel like I want to put in all the effort to like talk all the time or tell my teammates what to do. Because one, they might not listen. Two, I don't really want to deal with telling everyone what to do. I kind of just want to do my own thing anyway. And it's just solo queue to me is like supposed to be like a stress reliever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
As weird as that is. Sometimes it's stress reliever, sometimes it tilts you, but I don't want to go into that trying to like shot call every single game because that's just too much effort.
Absolutely. So, if a listener wanted to get a ranked fives team together, how do you recommend they figure out like how to handle their shot calling?
Well, first off, if you're trying to make a ranked fives team and you want a shot caller, first see if any of them are like a natural born leader. The people like that are pretty easy to spot. They kind of just take control of the thing as the thing goes. It'd probably be the person that like starts making the team. Like he's probably the one inviting the other people or the one telling, "Hey, let's go do this," etc. And then going from there, you're gonna have to be patient with whoever your shot caller is because there's like a 0% chance they're just like God from the beginning, right? They're gonna have to work their way up. They're gonna make bad calls. They're gonna make terrible calls. And the thing is, you have to have faith in them to get better because they're gonna learn from their mistakes and they're gonna get better. If they don't, then you probably have to find a new shot caller. But you gotta give them time to like work, and you have to help them get better as well. I don't do everything on my own. A lot of my teammates tell me like information, like suggestions on what they think is good as well. And you need to be a team player. Put in as much effort as you can to make his job easier. So just don't go into the game and don't say anything. Like say as much as you can that's useful information.
Yeah,
Now,
you mentioned
oh,
about your teammates feeding you information. So in a typical game in a competitive setting, how what kinds of things are you keeping track of? Are your teammates communicating flash timers, or are you playing around like certain ultimate cooldowns? Just curious, what's sort of the mindset of things you're keeping track of in your head in the course of a typical game?
Right. Well, it depends on the situation, right? If the game is kind of like dull at the moment and not much is going on, we're keeping track of flash timers, ward timers, objectives, ultimate timers, and like just how strong people are. That's a question I ask a lot. Like, how strong are you? Like, because I can look at the items but not realize how strong they are right away. So I just ask them, hey, can we burn Baron fast? And then they can like look at their damage and know better than I do if we can or can't. And then I can judge the amount of time that would take for the enemy team to get the Baron and if we can finish that on time or not. And it's just like a lot of different things. And depending on what's going on, you can have like 50 different things going on in your head, right? Like if you're doing a base race, you have to keep track of all 10 players, what they're doing, how fast, how much damage they do, and what you should be having each person do. And it really depends on like what's going on in the game for like how much information I need to be like sent to me.
Cool.
um, so, um, a few questions about LCS. Kind of, we'll take it back. Kind of the last season here had a little question come in the Twitch chat here. When you guys played against Fnatic in your second game, what was going through your heads when it kind of turned into a team deathmatch there?
Fnatic, second game, what tournament?
Uh,
I'm gonna guess end of the
Worlds.
world.
Which year?
Last year.
So 2015, the second game, the second week, where we went
Uh,
0-4.
yes.
Um, oh yeah, that game sucked because they were controlling the game at their own pace, and it felt bad. Since it's hard when the team gets momentum in the game, it's kind of hard to bring it back to your side. And unfortunately, we didn't bring it back to our side. We had to start playing our own way, but we couldn't since they controlled the pace of the game. And uh, yeah, that game was going downhill pretty quickly.
Hmm.
Now, when a game's going downhill, and you're trying to keep the team together, obviously we kind of talked about morale and stuff like that. But what are some of the main, the key objectives you're going to focus on? Or some of the key things you're going to be telling people in comms to do to keep it all together and hopefully bring back a comeback.
I think one of the most important things to do is like when you're behind, you have to have vision so that you can find out where they're going and react accordingly, right? A lot of times when an enemy team is ahead, they get overconfident and think they can do more than they actually can, whether that be a person trying to 1v1 you, whether that person trying to be going warding, or them trying to like go for an objective that they can't actually do. So for that to happen though, you need to have wards up and to know what the enemy team is doing. So just basically warding and trying to figure out what they're doing and seeing if you can counter it or not.
Hmm. Yeah, you talked about this a little bit earlier, about the different strategies for LCS teams as far as shot calling. Some teams have like a central shot caller versus the whole team shot calling. What do you think about the differences in that? Do you think one's more effective than the other, or it just kind of depends on the like group mentality and their how they get along?
I've never played in like a team where everyone shot calls, so I don't have that experience. But I
Hmm.
would assume that the main differences would be one, in a single shot caller environment, you do things quicker and more decisively since one person's saying and everyone just goes along with it. Whereas when you're having like five different people trying to do it, you could have someone calling Baron, you could have someone else calling mid inhibitor, like someone else trying to like backdoor or something, right? And making a lot of different calls, which can make the game chaotic. But in the case you have like five good players that all know what's like going on, like are super smart at the game, I could see it maybe being the better system. But it's very unlikely you'll find a group of five players that are all very good at shot calling. So mostly people just have like two, three at most to like try and dictate the pace of the game.
Okay.
But I wouldn't really know which one's better unless I got to play in the other environment. And I like the our environment because it works for us.
Yeah. So when you are shot calling in a game, is there a central thing that you try to keep track of above all else? I'm sure you have a lot of things running through your mind, but like, is there like a central
Probably
like win condition that you're looking for based on your team comp or something like that?
yeah, basically how do we win this game? You know, like whether it's like getting Baron, whether it's getting three items, whether it's going for five dragons, or
Mm-hmm.
whether it's just playing the team fights by kiting, something like that. There's always like a main win condition that each team will have, and you have to keep track of what your win condition is and what their win condition is,
Right.
and make steps towards yours and make them go away from theirs.
Excellent. Um, Kind of to step off the path here and get a few more little random questions here. In the current meta in the current season, who are some of your favorite champs to play right now and why?
I also like to play LeBlanc since she's always been a fun champion for me to play. And I actually like playing Furor a lot too. I've been playing top recently just because I hit the like support or fill, and a lot of times I go it's top since a lot of people don't play it. And I think Furor is actually a really fun champion to play that has like a high mechanic ceiling, and it's really fun to play that. As far as supports go, I think I'll always love Blitzcrank just because he's hilarious and so like he's not that like competitively viable, but like it's pretty fun just to hook people. And I like playing like the off meta supports and so like you just to see if like they work out like Lux and like other things like that. I'm gonna try Zed sometime when someone lets me do it, but
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think Zed support's gonna be that good. But I want to try it just because why not?
Okay. So right now you have the most experience with supports. Um, are some of the more aggressive supports more your style? Defensive, aggressive, tankier supports? What do you like?
Right. Well, I like playing both kinds of sports, right? There's the ones that initiate the fights and there are ones that appeal, right? So there's
Right.
like Janna, Shiraka, Lulu, things like that, Morgana, that are like kind of like the defensive ones. You have like the aggressive ones that are like Alistar, Thresh, Leona, Annie, things like that. I like playing both of them, but I'm probably better at the aggressive support since that's just like how I work as a player and how it works with our team. Since generally speaking, I'm the one on the team that initiates the fights, since I know how to play the fight out and like how to start it.
Mm-hmm.
So generally speaking, I'd probably be better at initiating supports or engage supports slash aggressive ones. But I'm good at disengaging too. And I like playing Janna and stuff like that as well. They're fun.
Okay.
Now, what do you find to be some of the big contrasts with playing with different players? Obviously, the team has changed a little bit now over the last couple of seasons, and like going from Meteos, who's kind of more of a farm-centric type of jungler, to Rush, who's an extremely aggressive jungler. What do you find the main differences are in your play style when it comes to dealing with that, or even you as a jungle?
Well, I think the main thing is like between different players, everyone has a different vision of how to play the game and what they value more than others. So, I don't know, maybe something like Jensen relative to me when I played mid. I think
Mm-hmm.
Jensen values winning lane and getting blue buff like a lot. Like he values CS a lot more high than I did. And that's not necessarily like bad or good or whatever, right? It's just a different way of playing the game. I much preferred roaming and putting pressure on the other sides of the map, where he likes pressuring the mid side of the map and taking advantages that way. So it's just like different people like to play the game differently. And I think that's the main difference between people, like how they want to play the game.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now, in obviously you have certain teammates that you've been with for a long time here, particularly right now would be Sneaky and Balls. Do you find yourself playing with them a lot outside of scrimming and your, obviously LCS play and stuff like that, or are there any other people that you find yourself playing with a lot that you enjoy playing with, maybe in a duo queue setting or something?
Well, they took away solo queue and duo queue, and I'm pretty salty about that. But as far as dynamic queue goes, I've generally played solo queue by myself, but I've been trying to play more with Sneaky since we're a bot lane, play together, it works out. But there's not one like particular person I just like enjoy playing with more than the rest of them. I like playing with all of them, and it's all pretty fun. So just whoever like is available at the time, since we have different like play schedules. Sneaky doesn't start playing till like 9, 10 p.m. sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times I'm like almost like one like I'll have one more game after that and I'll be done playing. So it's hard like to have my schedule mixed like aligned with them. So whoever's available to play on the team, I'll play with.
Since you brought it up, what are your thoughts on the new dynamic queue system, and how do you feel the pro scene will react once the new solo queue comes into play in I guess a few weeks or a few months from now?
Well, I think dynamic queue is good for like the majority of the player base, which is what Riot caters to and what I think is fine. But they gave me some stat where it's like 98% of games 5v5s are matched up, 4v4s are matched up, but there's a 0% chance that's true up and higher ELO since based
Mm-hmm.
off of my granted it's a small sample size like 15, 20 games, but like that's enough for me to realize that it's probably not 98% up in the higher ELO where I queue as 5. I haven't got a single 5v5 yet, and I've played at least 10 plus games of being the 5 and being against the 5.
Mm-hmm.
And from both point of views, it's obviously fun to stomp the other team when you're like the 5 and they're not the 5 and it's just like super easy. It's fun, but like at the same time it's a waste of time. Since you don't really learn much from like destroying a bunch of like people that like aren't coordinated and like are just worse than you. And that's not really like helping, right? And then when you're the group of the solos versus a group of 5, it's extremely frustrating to play versus. I was like in a game the other day. There's just like 5 randoms of us versus like 5 other people in Skype, and I don't think we got a single turret. The game was not fun. We got like one kill maybe, and they played like a really annoying comp to play versus, which was like you can't really run that well in solo queue since you need like a lot of communication to like kite back or
Mm-hmm.
like play a team fight correctly. And it's a frustrating experience for the people that aren't the 5. And I think in lower elos they don't experience that as much since there are more people queuing. They have more of a player base to grab 5 to put against 5. But in upper elos, it's really annoying to play. And I think solo queue is something that's good for every player to do. And dynamic queue takes away a lot of what the pros need.
Absolutely. Now, as for playstyle and stuff like that, what when it comes to different types of team comps, like hard engage and team fight comps, poke comps and siege comps, or split push comps, stuff like that, what do you find the most fun and satisfying to play, and why?
I personally like dive comps since I think they're more exciting. In poke comps, they're very unforgiving. If you make a mistake, you lose that fight basically. And as far as like dive comps, it's just everyone's basically going in and you're killing one target, and that's what you're going for. And I find that more exciting to do than like, because generally speaking, I'll start more fights in the game, and I like fighting in a game since that's the purpose of the game. You play the game to kill other people and to win the game. And I personally like fighting, so.
Man after my heart.
Yeah, he's just good at it.
Yeah.
I had a question. So you've mentioned a couple times throughout the show about the differences between solo queue playstyle and competitive playstyle, and then you also applied that to champions, like when you mentioned Blitzcrank. I mean, what are some things that you think can be quite strong in solo queue, or like some champion picks that you think are fairly strong in solo queue, but maybe don't translate as well to the pro scene, and why do you think that's the case?
I think generally champions that are super strong in solo queue are ones that can punish enemy mistakes and take control of the game. So, for example, people champions like Riven, if Riven goes into like a competitive game and then like everyone focuses her down right away, she's like very easy to kill and it's hard for her to play in a team fight, right? But in solo queue, people are doing different things and they're not focusing the same target. So a champion like Riven can go on a rampage. Champions like Blitzcrank, it's very hard to find a hook in a competitive game since Blitzcrank is only good at capitalizing on the enemy's mistakes by being out of position. And granted, that happens in competitive games. It doesn't happen as much as it does in solo queue. So you want to increase your reliability of winning the game versus like risk factor of a blitzcrank. Because like sure he can get like a game winning hook, but in case he doesn't get a game winning hook, he's pretty useless relative to other supports. So it's just you have to balance the risk versus the reward. And a lot of times the risk isn't worth the reward.
Absolutely.
That's fair.
Now we have our podcast network has quite a few people in it, and one of our main members of the network is has a notorious hatred for Frozen Mallet. What do you think of the item Frozen Mallet, or are there any other items that you think are just bad and should be removed from the game?
I don't think frozen mallet really matters. It's like it's a niche item where like it gives you health and like an attack, like a slow on your attacks. But I don't really think it's like broken or anything. It's like annoying at best. But I mean, I don't think that's an item that you really have to worry about. And as far as like broken items, I don't really think there are any. I personally don't like the fact that 80 carries get like 50% crit off two items, or like can easily get 100% crit, since uh I don't know. I don't like crit as a system, but
Agreed.
that's about it. I
Yeah.
can't think of anything else. I
Had
wish
a-
they brought DFG back, but whatever. That
yeah.
might be my bias coming in.
That was a
That was
fun item.
Great question in Twitch chat here. Being a well-diverse player and switching roles, what are some pointers for players looking to expand their roles that they normally play?
Uh, well, there's two type of people that learn differently, right? One type of people will learn from playing the game. The other type of people will learn from watching the game. So whatever kind of learner you are, that's what you should go do. If you want to learn top lane and you're a person that learns from watching people, go watch a lot of people that stream top lane or watch videos, VODs, things like that. If you're a person that learns a lot from playing the game, then go play 200, 300, 400 games until you get good at it. And that's basically it. I think people try to make it seem harder than it is to get better. And it's pretty simple. You either just play a lot or you watch a lot and go from there.
And I guess to wrap it up here, first off, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate you coming. Is there anything that you'd like to say? Anything we didn't touch on that you'd like to talk about, or anything like that?
Um, I actually don't have anything I want to talk about currently because I'm currently only thinking about food. I haven't eaten yet.
Well, we
So,
won't hold you up here too much longer. I got one more thing I want to ask here. This podcast is mostly about helping new players learn League. If you had to give one tip for a player coming into League of Legends to get better and keep improving at this game, what would that one tip be?
I think it would be don't be afraid of dying, because a lot of people are afraid of overstepping their not even overstepping their limits, but not realizing their limits, and they don't want to die and look dumb. But a lot of
Mhm.
times when I'm watching new players play, they don't go as far as they can, and if they went a little bit extra farther, they could be
Right.
getting these kills and learning a lot more, right? But they don't want to go out there because they don't want to die because they're like afraid of the teammates raging at them. So for me, I learned a lot from dying. I would have like a lot of deaths every game, but to me that gave me a lot of knowledge on how things work and like what I can do with my champion and what my role can do. And it's very you need to know your limits, otherwise you're never going to be at like uh the limit of your play, I guess.
Cool.
So
That's really good advice.
Absolutely. Hey, hi. Thank you so much for joining us. And everyone, thanks for joining us in Twitch chat. We appreciate you. And thanks for downloading us and hope you enjoy the interview here. Hi. Thank you so much for joining us. And everyone, have a wonderful day. Bye bye.
take
See you
care.
guys.
So yeah.